but they elevate these people to guru, and then they all have these scandals. Right down. Not all, but like, it's a ridiculous amount of them. And then all these people like, oh my God, the trauma that I've gone through, and then here's the trend. Then we say this guru disciple model does not work. Maybe it worked ages ago in India. It doesn't work anymore. You know what?
Yeah.
It's not so cheap, but it's real. And you got to go on your own hero's journey and search it out. Find out what is a guru. Study these texts. Try to really understand it, and then go out and search that out. It's not something that is just going to roll through your town or, on some yoga tour or something like that necessarily. It's something that's very real and sacred, and you go out and you search for it with sincerity and with determination. There's a lot of in the Vedic, lore. There's a lot of stories of people who searched very hard to find that person and then tolerated a lot.
Sure.
Were tested by the guru to see their sincerity was tested.
Sure.
It's a serious thing. It's a life-changing thing. It's really one of the most important facets of one's life and one's journey in life. It's not cheap. You got to go out but it's real. Just because people make a mockery of it doesn't mean that the real thing isn't there. Just because the counterfeit is all over the place doesn't mean that the genuine article doesn't exist.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kostu Badas. Today's Friday, May 23rd, 2025. It's episode 1608. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody. It's the Wisdom of the Sages weekend. Excited to meet everybody in person or bring back old friends. Satchidananda Swami was with us all week. It was transcendental madness and wonderful association and beautiful walks. He's left just as the show started. We're here live. Stacey Cabrera G is here a little early, and Bunky's here, and we're ready for a full house today.
We're not quite ready yet.
We're not quite ready for. Did I say ready for a full house? We're like completely not ready for a full house, but we're diving right back in. That's how we roll here.
Yeah.
How are you, Costuba? Good morning.
I'm doing good, thank you.
Ready to hop on the train?
Yeah.
All right. Miss Mara, any announcements today for you?
If you have any questions, you can post them on the Sage community platform under the community chat, and then the questions for the host tab, or you can email them to us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
All righty. Well, that's the latest. All right. Madam, would you like to read the nugget today, Miss Mara?
Sure.
You're going to be the new nugget reader. How about that?
I can be the nugget nath.
You could be Nugget Nath, Lord of the Nuggets.
Lady of the Nuggets.
Nugget Priya. You're very dear to the Nuggets.
The Nuggets are dear to
Nugget Dave.
All right, this one's from
Nugget
Mark.
Davey.
Nugget Davey.
Yeah, from Mark Nepo.
Do you know who that is?
Nepo Raj.
Yeah, I've read some of his books, or I've seen some of his
Really?
books. Yeah.
Really?
He's an author. That's all I know about him.
Mara is very well read.
I like to read. I always have.
That's it.
Well, he's a contemporary poet, spiritual teacher, and cancer survivor who blends insights from various spiritual traditions. Mara, were you examining all kinds of different spiritual traditions before you came around to this stuff? Not really.
Shallowly.
Yeah.
Not
You
thoroughly.
read fortune cookies.
It's just association of devotees that she slowly said it. Right? Well, is that what it was? It wasn't like great distress. It wasn't like, what am I going to do with my life? It wasn't
Some
like
material exhaustion combined with the devotee association.
But it was yoga, I guess. Was asana that kind of?
Yeah, asana was really my gateway.
Yeah. Give me no credit. Okay. Go on.
You taught me asana. You're my asana teacher. That counts. It's like
What What are you
All
upset
right,
about?
Mark
What's he
Nepo
upset about
says,
now, Mara?
I don't know what he's upset about
What is
because
he
I said
about?
asana, even though he's the one who taught my asana. All credit. I would never have made it on this path if it weren't for Raghunath.
By
He's
the
the
way,
only
Raghunath, you're
one who.
really trying to look like our new logo now because you
I
got the
know
knot on your
it's
head.
not planned, but the logo is a classic face, and this is where my hair is going. And today I got the dot on the forehead because I
It's
did
like you're
puja
really doing it.
today.
All right.
Okay. Mark Nepo says the gift of truth is given when one soul meets another with nothing in between.
Nothing.
Read that
in
again, Miss
between.
Mara.
The gift of truth is given when one soul meets another with nothing in between.
Raghu?
Why is it so hard for people to swallow? People hate the concept of teacher and guru. Just the word that's like a 4-letter word, guru. Guru just means like a teacher, right? And I like what he's sharing. It points to something deep about the teacher-student relationship, where there's like nothing in between, no ego, no agenda, no manipulation, which sometimes can be there on both sides, right? I want a guru to make me sort of like, I don't know, for some type of credentials or something, maybe a name. And vice versa, a guru who's teaching out of love for the offering and not just out of some agenda to collect followers, which is, one of the bhakti cardinal sins. I'm not doing this to collect followers. Just sincerity, trust, real connection. And it's not just about affection on both sides. A real teacher carries something true, something valuable, like they're living it. They're not just repeating words. That's not what a disciplic succession is. Just like parroting. It's like they're living it, and they're getting the realizations from it, and they're getting the joy from it, and naturally that sort of bleeds out of their body, and they give it, and they give it not to control, but out of love, to help you grow. In the same way you have a you care about your children, and you want to give them something, not because I want them to be identical to me for my own ego. If the guru's doing it for that reason, it's the wrong reason. Teachers also have to check in with their own intention, and students have to check in with their intention. And in India, that culture of the Vedas and yoga, the relationship is treated sacred. It will always be treated sacred. It's real. It's one of the most honored ways that truth is passed down. And it's, again, not just intellectually, but from heart to heart. It's a relationship built on mutual respect, humility, deep affection. I felt it here with Satchidananda Swami this week, It's not like, he's very friendly. But in my heart, and I know in Miss Mara's heart, it's deep respect. I'm not here in one sense to be his friend. I'm here to be his servant. And I get great joy out of that. And I want to imbibe what he has to offer. And and he wants to give it in a fatherly way. Just because there's been abuse of that relationship. Hey, there's abuse of fathers too. Should we get rid of fatherhood? We just got to find people who are just walking that talk. Real harm has happened in the name of authority and tradition. We get that. It leaves scars. We get that. But, this one, there doesn't have to be a victim mentality lens that we see the entire world through, and that we can trust nobody to give me information. If that's the case, then why read books? Why have any teachers in our life whatsoever? This is a sacred relationship, and it comes through love and service. Modern yoga community wants to crush the concept of guru. They'll say everything is inside. It is inside, but we also have people in our lives to bring it out, because sometimes we can't see what's inside already. So guru does exist within, but guru is also there without as well, in the form of teachers and in the form of sacred literature. What do you want to say about this, Kastuba? I could just keep running with it.
I'm reminded when I hear this. Let's read it again. He said that the gift of truth is given when one soul meets another with nothing in between. And when I hear that, I think of there's a phrase that Prabhupada used a lot when you're speaking about a guru. He would say transparent via media.
That's a great way to put it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Prabhupada had so many great phrases.
He did.
Transparent via medium.
Yeah. It's a transparent, there's nothing in between. He really wanted, he came in the midst of, he came to America in the mid 60s, and in that time and in the years that followed, going into the 70s, there was lots of so-called guru figures arriving in the West. And he really, one thing we can note is that most of those big guru figures, everybody knows their name. With Prabhupada, people don't know his name. They all know the Hare Krishna.
A long name if you're new to this game.
True.
It's like,
but they all know Hare Krishna. They don't know Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Right.
Because he was transparent. It wasn't like a personality cult. It may have been a cult in other ways. But for seriously, it wasn't a personality cult. He was really trying to say, I'm not someone I'm not coming to you as like, I had my moment of enlightenment. Sometimes we receive, the podcast receives emails from people wanting to be a guest on the podcast. And, some of them are, quote unquote, spiritual teachers.
Authorities.
Yeah, and then they
Self-proclaimed spiritual authorities.
They send the bio, and the bios include like, and then they had their moment of enlightenment when this happened and that happened, and and it's like, what? I don't need to hear about your I don't want to be too skeptical here, but like your fictional moment of enlightenment.
I love when your skepticism is turned off of me and put on everybody else.
It's not turned on to you. That's what you have to learn. You just always think that it is.
Well, yesterday I was like, had this incredible spiritual experience. You're like, I don't want to hear it. Do you remember that?
Several days ago, but yeah. But in any case, but the point is, Prabhupada wasn't saying like, I'm this enlightened being. He was saying, I'm a representative, and my qualification is that I'm transparent. That I'm not imposing myself into the middle of this, but that I'm just here to give you a clear vision of the tradition and the teachings that have been handed down for thousands of years. I'm like the postman. I'm like a mailman. I'm like a peon. Right. Of course, we glorify him, for for his enlightenment and for his qualities and so on. But here's the understanding that when the teacher is like, I want to get out of the way and I want to facilitate your connecting with what precedes me, then something really powerful comes from that. And I think you touched on something really, really important, is that we live our current Western, especially maybe American culture. It seems like are elevating like the idea of freedom and are elevating the idea of the rebel and so on, is that we've missed out on this real, if we're fortunate, we've had someone in our life, whether it's a parent or a teacher or a coach, someone that, just as you said, when you were talking about Satyananda Swami and him being there, you're like, I'm not here to be his equal, right? We kind of value equality in terms of our relationships in an unnatural way, so that knowledge and grace and blessings don't flow.
Every culture in the East gets this.
Yeah.
Not just India, like China, Japan, Korea. Everybody gets this. You treat the elders with respect. You have mentors in your life. You have a deep humility and reverence. What is up with a bunch of Americans? We don't respect anybody.
Yeah, and you said it. It's true that there's abuse and so on, but that victim mentality, that will kill growth. It's a prison, actually. It's a prison. It'll lock you in.
Write that down. Victim mentality kills growth. Kastuba.
Yeah, we have a choice to remain in a prison of victim mentality or go out and seek the truth, even if it's rare, even if it's a little hard to find. Seek a good representative. Seek someone who's better than me. right? Go out there and find. Can we do that? There's that Mahābhārata story, right?
Yeah, go find me someone that's better than you, he told to Duryodhana. And
And he
Duryodhana's
told
like, I went
Yudhishthira.
out looking. There's no one better than me. I'm qualified to be the
That's
king. No one's, I looked all over.
yeah.
No one's qualified. And then
And
to ask Yudhishthira, go find me someone who's less
let's
qualified than
qualify.
you. It's like, well, yeah, everybody's got so many good qualities.
I
You know,
searched around. I
Yudhishthira
thought
could
I
really
found someone. Then
see the good in people.
yeah.
And it was at
So,
that time Drona realized he should be the emperor.
so right. So if we're moving around this world unable to recognize this person's more learned than me, this person's better behaved than me, this person's understood more about life than me,
Mm.
we're really clueless. We really are in a prison. And so that's this tradition. Let me find that person that embodies wisdom. It's kind of there in all of those, people like, I guess, Joseph Campbell and others that write about these heroes' journeys and these character arcs.
Mhm.
And they always have, it's like, I forget, how they define it, but, the character has some struggles, some impediments placed in their life, and then they have to leave the comfort zone, and
Right.
and the
Climb the
challenges come
mountain.
up. But there's always this thing where they seek the mentor.
Yeah, there's a wise hermit that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
That's
And
the classic story of overcoming life's difficulties.
yeah, that even if that story's put in a modern urban context or something, there's still kind of like that
Or
mentor
space
figure.
age.
Or space age, whatever, yeah, whatever the context,
Yeah.
there's the mentor there, that there's this someone that you go to that helps you grow.
It's Karate Kid. It's every
Karate Kid, yeah, right, right. So I think we miss that. We miss out on that a lot. We're in Bhagavatam. The idea is it's all questions and answers, and in each state, it opens up with the force of Naimisharanya, where you have all these sages and they're confused, trying to figure out what's the essence of all this. They turn to Sutta Goswami. They praise him. They say, "You're our elder. Nobody is more familiar with these Vedic texts than you. Nobody's imbibed them better. And you've been especially blessed
Mm.
because of the way that you served your gurus. In others, because you had this mood of these people know more than me. These people are more evolved than me. And you treat and you serve them in such a gentle manner that they blessed you. Now we're turning to you and we're saying you're more qualified than us.
Mm.
We want to be the next in the chain. We humble ourselves, we bow our heads to seeking your blessings, your knowledge, your grace. But that's Bhagavatam, and the idea is that with Shukadeva Goswami, the speaker of Bhagavatam, and with Maharaj Pariksit, you have the ideal speaker and the ideal questioner, the ideal guru and the ideal disciple. They're both very high level, and so there's really such a flow of wisdom, such a flow of devotion, such a flow of love going between them, and we
Mm.
can tune into it. And if we approach it in that same mood, in the mood of a disciple, we
Mm.
can be blessed in the same way.
The disciple has to be careful not to confuse a guru's friendliness with them being their friend. The
Right.
consciousness I have as a student is never like, oh, this teacher's my buddy. Hey, slap him on the back. It's always like, I'm here to serve this person. He can be friendly. That's his prerogative or her prerogative. But that is their prerogative. Mine is that of a servitude. And that's very, very crucial in that in the dynamic. And of course, as the teacher, we're giving freely and we're thinking these aren't mine. My teachers have sent these people to me. My teachers have sent, the universe using my teachers has sent these people to me, and now I want to take care of them on behalf of my teachers. We
Mm.
never like try to claim ownership or a thing or control or have their praise or appreciation as validation. And if we get some validation from the student, we think in our heart of hearts, oh yeah, if you only knew where I came from, by the mercy of my teachers, have some good fortune, something that you like. There's something intelligent coming out of my mouth. It's only by the mercy of my teachers.
Right.
And if that is the mood of guru and disciple or teacher and student, there's something very beautiful. So the guru, the teachers, And I'm saying this because you guys are teachers also. The listeners will also be teaching people this stuff. You have a duty of keeping your consciousness very clean, freed from the clinginess of greed and material validation, and taking ownership of praise. And the student, they have a inherent, when I play the student role, we play both roles in this world. And we play the student role, it's always of servitude, appreciation, and gratitude.
There's this trend.
What's the latest trend? There's a new trend, or it's been around for a while.
Been around for a little while, but within the Western yoga world, right? Within the yoga journal world,
They come up some great trends.
Well, because they elevate these people that have somehow popularized their asana teaching,
Right.
which may be nothing more than a workout, and they spew out some, you know,
Nuggets.
quote-unquote
A
wisdom.
couple nuggets that they
Yeah,
Googled.
they squirt out a couple nuggets.
ChatGPT, give me 10 nuggets of
Yoga class.
thoughtful.
And then they elevate these people just because they've become more popular, just because they have, that's the way that our media world works. Okay, this person has more followers. Let me promote them in my on my platform, and
To get some of their followers
to
over
get some
to
of their
our
followers over to us, and
platform.
we can monetize that. And then so certain people, just because they look nice or for whatever reason they've got more followers, that maybe it's just that they're better at marketing.
Sometimes
then-
it's contortionism, which is interesting, or a physical
Could be
workout.
contortionism,
Sometimes
yeah.
it's sexy.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
going to start changing my profile. I need to look a little
Sexy
sexier.
contortionist.
Sexy contortionism, Raghunath. That's going to be part of my bio. I'll wear those men bikini briefs.
Please don't.
All of a sudden, my numbers drop. What's going on?
It didn't work. But they elevate these people to guru, and then they all have these scandals. Right down. Not all, but like, it's a ridiculous amount of them. And then all these people like, oh my God, the trauma that I've gone through, and then here's the trend. Then we say this guru disciple model does not work. Maybe it worked ages ago in India. It doesn't work anymore. You know what?
Yeah.
It's not so cheap, but it's real. And you got to go on your own hero's journey and search it out. Find out what is a guru. Study these texts. Try to really understand it, and then go out and search that out. It's not something that is just going to roll through your town or, on some yoga tour or something like that necessarily. It's something that's very real and sacred, and you go out and you search for it with sincerity and with determination. There's a lot of in the Vedic, lore. There's a lot of stories about people who searched very hard to find that person, and then tolerated a lot.
Sure.
We're tested by the guru to see their sincerity was tested.
Sure.
It's a serious thing. It's a life-changing thing. It's really one of the most important facets of one's life and one's journey in life. It's not cheap. You got to go out but it's real. Just because people make a mockery of it doesn't mean that the real thing isn't there. Just because the counterfeit is all over the place doesn't mean that the genuine article doesn't exist.
We grew up in the West, our generation never had, I don't know about you, but I've never had an avocado until I was like 24 years old. Like, you just
Really?
didn't buy, they didn't sell them back then. I
They
don't know what it
did,
was.
Raghunath. You didn't, because like I remember people would always take like the avocado seed and put it like in the water and grow the,
When
the
you were a
plant.
kid, you ate avocados.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just poor and we didn't eat avocados.
They weren't expensive, Raghunath.
Avocados weren't expensive.
No.
Anyway, I didn't eat avocado until I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Mara sings the same thing too. So there's certain things. I remember the first time I did eat one, because I heard about avocados. I didn't understand or discern how to open that damn thing. And it was hard as a
just
rock.
bit
I took
right
a
into the
bite of
skin.
it and it was horrible. Same thing with persimmons,
Now that's
right?
challenging
If
with
you
persimmons.
eat an unripe persimmon, it's like the most horrific thing you could chew on.
It's
I was like, how do
traumatic.
people eat these? So you have to develop a discernment when to pick an avocado. It's a science. You got to figure out when to eat that persimmon. It's a science. You got to understand when and why. That discernment to understand what guru is a real thing. And we learn it by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. You actually learn it, and you'll realize it's got nothing to do with race either. People want to say, well, the person wants to give a person credit because they're from India. Got nothing to do with they're from India. You can be from India and be a complete rascal. You can be from America and be a complete rascal. It's got nothing to do with their gender. You can be a female and be a liberated soul. You can be a female and be a complete rascal. It's got nothing to do with what else?
Anything else external, how they dress,
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with your
physical
asana
appearance.
practice, truthfully.
Yeah.
It's got everything to do with whether you're carrying the message of
Yeah.
the sages.
There
And you can, and if you have that, you can give it to other people. This is the criteria. And we learn what that criteria is by studying the Bhagavatam.
your picture
We're
froze
easily
up, Raghunath.
fooled in our culture. So this is how to develop the discernment.
Can you hear me?
Anyway,
I
we're
think we-
easily fooled, but this is how to develop a discernment.
I think we need to ask everyone to turn off their pictures because Raghunath is his picture was
Humbling.
freezing, and then you weren't hearing me. I was talking to you, but you weren't hearing it. So
All right.
kindly request people turn off their pictures.
Thank you, people.
Yeah. I was in response to that, Raghunath, I was also thinking that within these sacred texts, these genuine sacred texts, it speaks about one thing that's considered really problematic is when we judge people, particularly like, deeply spiritual people or guru-like figures based on externals. In other words, there are texts that say something like, if you judge like a deeply spiritually evolved person based on their birth, maybe
Sure.
they have a physical defect, and you think, oh, look,
Sure.
they have bad karma. They must not be. No.
Sure.
Even their past necessarily, if they had a distant past and then they transformed, we don't judge them on the past.
We don't judge people on their past. We don't
know.
judge them on their bodies. Don't judge them on their genders. What else?
Gender, all those external things. They may have disease, they may have leprosy or something like that. Doesn't mean that they're not.
You got leper guru out there if you're listening.
Well,
There's still hope. Well,
be
the big
leper.
thing in India is caste.
That's
If you're not a Brahmana, you can't be. And this is what the beauty of Vaishnavism is. In Vaishnavism, the worship of Lord Vishnu, some of the greatest acharyas are born into lower castes.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that because the real qualification is their spiritual evolution.
All right.
This is a very real thing. And people will say, oh, no, it is caste. I mean, you got to be careful. Even going to India and not understanding this stuff, you can get caught up in it. And a real easy one, Kostuba, is just being white. We tend to think, well, you guys are white. A bunch of white men, of course. You guys think you're the guru. No, you don't understand. It's all on their merit of all what they. If a person is, it's got nothing to do with the color of skin. Don't reverse the racism now. That's silly.
Okay, Raghu. You ready?
I've been ready.
All
Are
right,
you ready?
I'm ready.
Look at me. Narayanam namaskrityanam chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before we start the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. I'm so excited that we're in the 10th canto.
I know.
Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text 9.
Text 9. So
Why
these
did
are questions that Maharaj Pariksit, who's just walked away, who's been cursed to die in 7 days and has walked away from everything, his power, his wealth, his palace. He's sitting in front of this very young guru, right? He didn't judge him based on his youth.
Yeah, he's young. He's younger than me. He can't be that wise. No, he's naked. Can't be that wise. He's
Right.
got dreadlocks. He must be wise. He's got dreadlocks. We do that one. Guys got dreadlocks in our culture. We're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
very deeply spiritual.
But all of the sages, all these super A-list sages were gathered there, and they looked at him and they understood. They understood. They knew of him, and they said, Shukadeva Goswami, set aside all the externals. This person is incredibly spiritually involved. Let him be the speaker. Now, Maharaj Pariksit, who was a king, he bows down to this kid, right? And it says, I'm turning to you to tell me what is the duty of a person who's about to die. And the questions evolve and evolve until they come to here, the 10th canto, where the questions are getting to the most churned, thick cream of the cream. He's asking about Krishna now.
Okay, so this is text 9. Why did Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, leave the house of his father Vasudeva and transfer himself to the house of Nanda in Vrindavan? We read this yesterday. Where did the Lord, the master of the Yadu dynasty, live with his relatives in Vrindavan?
Okay.
So that's Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty. Sometimes Krishna is called Yadunath or Yadava. That means he's from that family or that clan.
And yet he went and lived not with that clan, but with a bunch of cowherd people, right? That was like a dynasty of kings. Why did he leave that dynasty of kings and go live with these cowherd people in Vrindavan?
Lord Krishna lived both in Vrindavan and Mathura. What did he do there? And why did he kill Kamsa, his mother's brother, right? Devaki was his mother.
Yeah.
And the brother, right, is his uncle.
It's his uncle.
Like, why would you kill your uncle?
We heard a long list of names of different kings and so on, but we didn't hear of any of them killing their own uncle.
No, it doesn't sound dharmic.
Okay.
Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no material body, yet he appears as a human being. How is that supposed to work? For how many years did he live with the descendants of Vrishni? How many wives did he marry? And for how many years did he live in the city of Dwarka? So these are the three main places Krishna lived: Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka.
Yeah.
There are different facets of God as well, too. There's Vrindavan, we worship as this young cowherd boy. And we say this concept of Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Then there's another kind of version of Krishna that goes to Mathura. And then, of course, there's the princely version that goes to Dwarka. And they're all worshipped in a way as God, but different personalities of that same divine being.
And we're also hearing about it. He has a body that's like a human.
Right? Yeah.
It's got eyes and legs and hands and, two of each.
Well, sometimes you think of God, you think you can put your hand right through God. You know what I mean? Like he's just like a ghostly, like cloudish person.
Yeah. And here, so he's asking a really important question. Again, we were speaking a little bit yesterday about there's different schools of Vedanta, different schools that interpret these texts in different ways. And a big question is, okay, all the schools of Vedanta accept that Brahman, that there's this eternal spiritual energy that is the source of everything. But what is the relationship between Brahman and the Jiva, the people of us people, or Brahman and this world? And here's an idea that, a lot of people say, well, if it's spiritual, it must have no form, because form means limitation, and Brahman means unlimited, right? Spirit is unlimited energy. But here it's saying that no, that unlimited spiritual energy of Brahman can have a form that's in the human shape, right? How do I understand this? He's saying, his questions, they're important in many ways. For Vedantins, they'll study these texts, and again, it's not just story time. These are dealing with deep existential questions, deep ontological questions. And so all of this is meaningful.
What does ontological mean?
Me, understanding the relationships in terms of our existence.
Okay. All right. Get it. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no material body.
As we just read.
I just read that. Oh, great sage, who knows everything about Krishna, please describe in detail all the activities of which I have inquired, and also those of which I have not. For I have full faith, and I'm very eager to hear them. You know what? This weekend, I'm going to tell the story of Sukadeva Goswami and how he was born. I'm going to tell that story. I'm going to give also a class on Lord Chaitanya's teachings. What do you think about that, Kostuba?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And here he's saying, you know, I'm asking my questions, but there's probably a lot of stuff that I'm not asking that's really important. Fill me in on that too.
Fill me in on the stuff I'm not going to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, great sage who knows everything about Krishna. Okay.
Because of my vow.
Because of my vow, on the verge of death, I've given up even drinking water. Yet because I'm drinking the nectar of the topics of Krishna, which is flowing from the lotus mouth of your lordship, my hunger and thirst, which are extremely difficult to bear, cannot hinder me. What a nice.
Yeah, you know, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, back in the first canto, we have, and this was just about a week ago in the life of Maharaj Parikshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he was walking in the forest. He was tired, hungry, and thirsty. So much so that he was a little bit off his game, you know?
Sure. I've been there. It's called hangry.
He got a little angry.
He got a little hangry at a sage.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's where Bhagavatam started. That's where he got cursed, right? He came upon a sage, Shaunaka Rishi, who was deep in meditation. And Maharaj Parikshit was so thirsty and tired and maybe a little dizzy, maybe a little lightheaded. And he said, "Could you please give me some water?" And the sage didn't budge. He couldn't put it together that he was in deep meditation. And so he just felt like, I'm being ignored, right? I'm just asking for some water. And then what did he do?
Well, you got to imagine there's a sage sitting like he's in samadhi, and he's like, "Excuse me, hello, guest is here. Hello, does anybody hear me?" And the sage, who's deep absorbed in meditation, just doesn't move. And then finally, after petitioning this sage again and again, and you know he's a king too. He's got that bravado and that come on, people, get your life together. A guest has come in. It's an important thing in our culture.
Yeah.
Finally, he just gets in a little bit of like hangriness. He sees a dead snake, and he picks it up with his bow, and he flings it on the sage's neck like a garland. And he says, "Oh, great sage," sarcastically, here's a garland for you.
Yeah.
And the
So
sage,
that was wrong.
that's not a good thing to do to great sages, especially of mystical power.
It wasn't his it was out of character for him. It was just because, you know, this is what's a really important facet of forgiveness, which is such an important part of spiritual practice, is that we can say, you know what, maybe this person did something that was disturbing to me, but likely it happened because of the circumstances helped facilitate it.
You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
We want to condemn everybody,
Right.
but sometimes the circumstance puts people into a corner,
Yeah.
or they're just off their game. Extend some
Mercy.
What's the word? Extend some mercy. Extend some understanding. We are quick to judge. We're quick to condemn. We're quick to cancel in this world.
Yeah, we want mercy for ourselves. If we do something wrong, it's always like, but understand the circumstances.
But with everybody else,
But with everybody else, the circumstances
condemn them to death.
Okay, so it was the circumstances that had him acting out of character, and when he put that snake on the sage.
Yeah.
But it just shows that he was thirsty there, and it was really sucking the life out of him.
Yeah.
Now he's been fasting for days. He hasn't eaten or had a drop of water for days. We're in the 10th canto now, so We must be 2/3 the way through Bhagavatam or so, roughly, if we counted the verses, something like that, I think.
Because it's a big
Because
canto.
10th is very big.
Yeah.
11th is pretty big too. So that means, it was 7 days, so 2/3 of that, it's 2.5 days in or something like that, or more rather, more like
Yeah.
4.5 days in. He hasn't eaten or drinking a drop of water. So he's
Yeah.
saying, I should be thirsty here, but the topics that you're speaking about, I don't feel hungry or thirsty at all. It's not hindering me at all. I'm so wrapped up in what you're saying. Strong connection going on here now.
Text
14.
14. Sutta Goswami. By the way, this isn't a correction, it's a clarification.
Okay.
The sage sitting there in meditation with got the snake thrown around his neck. From what I understand, that's Shamika Rishi.
What did I say?
And the head of the sages in Namaskara
did I say
is
Shamika?
Shaunaka Rishi.
Yeah, Shamika.
Shamika. Like, yeah. Sutta Goswami said, "O son of Brigu."
That was a correction, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was a correct. No, I was just saying maybe I'm wrong.
No,
but
you're right. It's Shamika Rishi. I probably said it
okay.
wrong.
Yeah. Sutta Goswami said.
So now we go zoom
So
back
now
out.
Zoom back out. This is
Stage level 1.
Sutta Goswami is speaking the Bhagavatam. So Sutta Goswami was hearing from that dialogue between Parikshit.
He was there. He witnessed that
Sutta
dialogue
Goswami.
between
Now
Shukadeva and Maharaj
he's
Parikshit.
coming to the sages of Namaskara, and the sages are headed by one rishi called Shaunaka Rishi. Right?
Shamika.
No. Shaunaka.
No, don't say no. Now you are correct. I'm saying there's all these different names. There's Shaunaka.
Oh, okay,
There's
yeah.
Shamika. There's Sutta. There's Sukadev. We got to get them all straight.
And Sutta is the son of Romaharshana Sutta, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking. And he's called Sut. Why is he called Sutta? Because he's not of the appropriate. I don't know. Okay. Oh, son of Brigu. Who's the son of Brigu?
That must be. Who's questioning Sutta Goswami? It's another.
Sutta Goswami, Shaunaka Rishi.
Shaunaka Rishi.
So
He must be the
Shaunaka
son
Rishi
of-
must be the son of Brigu. Interesting. Oh, son of Brigu. After Sukadev Goswami, you can get lost in these names. I get it. You got this, Mara?
That's why we're on sage level number 2. That's what we got to remember here. No, we're number 1. Sage level number 1.
Yeah, this is the original conversation here. Sukadev Goswami, the most respectable devotee, the son of Vyasadeva, heard the pious questions of Maharaj Parikshit, and he thanked the king with great respect. Then he began to discourse on topics concerning Krishna, which are the remedy for all the sufferings of this age of Kali. What are the symptoms of the age of Kali, Kostuba?
Oh, so many.
Mandasa manda matayo manda bhagya hyupaturtaha. Right? The
Lazy, misguided, unlucky.
unfortunate.
Disturbed
Yeah.
mind.
Mentally disturbed.
Above all, always disturbed.
Always disturbed.
So he thanks.
Overweight.
Sukadev Goswami thanks. Obesity
It's
is
sort
an
of-
issue. So there's so many problems.
My doctor tried to give me an obesity drug yesterday.
You were offended.
Unbelievable.
You were offended.
I was like, that is. They want to give these drugs so quickly. I'm shocked. Because I have some sleep apnea. And he's like, oh, well, don't worry. We got this drug that's the weight
Now
loss.
It's approved.
It's
Yeah, now
approved.
for sleep apnea too.
I was just like, I don't want to take that drug. I was like, what are the symptoms? What are the side effects of that drug? And he's like, oh,
you
the
got it. You got 10 minutes.
Yeah. It was like that. And he didn't even say. He was just like, oh, the usual.
Yeah.
I was like, the usual? The usual is like sometimes depression, suicidal tendencies. No, he was
The
like, oh,
usual. That's a
get a
great
little
answer.
stomach upset. That's what he said,
the
stomach
usual.
upset. Anyway,
All right.
it's like the whole world thing.
Okay. Text 15. This is a big one, Raga.
He just wants you to sleep better.
Srila Sukadeva Goswami said, oh, your majesty, best of all saintly kings, because you are greatly attracted to the topics of Vasudeva, that's Krishna,
Mhm.
It is certain that your intelligence is firmly fixed in spiritual understanding, which is the only true goal for humanity. Because that attraction is unceasing. It is certainly sublime.
Okay.
This is what we were saying yesterday. It's all about the quality of our questions.
Yeah.
And he's got the right questions, and the guru picks up on that. What are you asking the guru? What are you dumping on? Sometimes we're dumping our problems on the guru, like we want the guru to be our therapist. No. We're there to inquire submissively about our spiritual life, how to make more advancement on our spiritual life.
Yeah. This is this here. It's such a beautiful verse. There's so much happening here, because this is that guru-disciple relationship, right? Where the guru is recognizing the quality in the disciple, the good quality, and encouraging it, right? I'm tuned into you. I'm tuned into what you're tuning into, and you're on the right track. And he's really congratulating him. Now, in the commentary to this verse, Sanatana Goswami, he wrote that rasa appears in the conversation by mutual affection between the speaker and the listener.
You want to explain that?
Yeah, so
Rasa
rasa
appears.
means a taste, a flavor.
A sweet flavor.
Yeah,
right?
a sweet. Sometimes rasa is translated as juice or as flavor. But it also represents. It's also speaks to the various loving relationships that can be experienced. And so he's saying that this something very sweet manifests in the relationship between the speaker and the listener when there's this mutual affection there. And so Shukadeva Goswami, who's like, in one sense, he could have this ego that like, I'm a wandering mendicant beyond the world, and you're a materialistic king, right? He's also not judging by externals. He's saying, I see that what you've got, and this is, again, this also demonstrates how it's not just story time now that we're talking Krishna stories, right? That this is Vedanta. This is serious Vedanta. He says, Samyag, which means completely, Samyak vyasita buddhis. This is straight out of Gita, right? This is Upanishadic language. Vyavasayatmaka buddhi, ekeha kurunandana. These are the messages. Vyavasayatmaka buddhi. It means very fixed discernment, very
Pointed
fixed
intelligence.
Yeah, very fixed. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says it's one point. There's two verses in the second chapter where Krishna uses this exact same phrase, right? Vyavasayatmaka buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Those who are on this path are resolute in their purpose, and their aim is one. They're yogis, they're focused, right? O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. That's 241 for the Bhagavad Gita. And then this, of course, really important verse, Bogaishvarya prasaktanam taya prahita chetasam vyavasayatmaka buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. That those who are bewildered by the external things, by material opulence, by material enjoyment, bhoga, aishvarya, they become distracted and confused by these things and begin to seek after them. They lack this vyavasayatmaka buddhi. They never develop that one-pointed, focused yogic attention, and they never achieve samadhi. They never achieve this even-mindedness, or this trance, spiritual trance, however you want to characterize that. So here, Shukadeva is looking at a king. Now, Shukadeva is the embodiment of that vyavasayatmaka buddhi. He's the embodiment of that sage that's existing in samadhi. And he's looking at a king who's got many, wives and wealth and palace and all of this. But he's saying, I see it in you. You've got this one-pointed focus. And he says, and because your attraction is unceasing, it's certainly sublime. You've gone deep into spiritual matters. You're a real yogi. So again, we're hearing these Krishna stories, and Maharaj Pariksit is very excited about it. He's not just excited because they're quaint. He's excited because he's entering into the deepest states of spiritual experience through an authentic path of, of Vedanta.
We have time for one more.
Why not? Or we could stop here. Either way, as you like.
Maybe we should stop here. We got a
Okay,
Maha
I
day
think it's an
today.
appropriate place
We
to end.
do.
We got a Maha day. Mara's been up juicing celery juice for Maharaj,
Mm.
making some
Ekadasi, yeah.
ahimsa ekadasi curd sabji.
Yeah.
Something or other.
Something.
Okay, Mara,
Ready for
take
speed
away Priya.
test? A real teacher lives it and gives it.
A real teacher learns it, lives it, gives it. Boo.
Check in with your own intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Truth is passed heart to heart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When Kustuba gets here today, we're just going to put our hearts on top of each other's and we're just going to talk with our hearts.
I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
Victim mentality kills growth.
Yep. Can't have it. Let it go. Come on.
Seek the best representative for truth and wisdom.
Seek the best representative for truth and wisdom.
Don't confuse the friendliness of your teachers with being your friend.
Don't do that. It's silly.
Appreciate and serve your teachers. The mercy to flow. Stuba's not listening this time.
Right,
Sorry.
right. Just look at the message board. Let's see if anybody say anything about.
My bad. My bad.
Search with sincerity and determination.
Gotta be determined, Raghu. Oh, I got that. Why does the echo come at the end of each show?
No, it's
As if
something
it
with
knows. It's
when
as
I
if-
go to share the computer sound.
Hmm.
I guess because I think when we start in the beginning, the Riverside isn't recording yet, and now the Riverside's recording. Anyway, I think I have it figured out, but I don't know.
I've been
how to
talking
fix it.
all show.
He's back.
Yeah, but I didn't have. I pressed the.
All right,
I
not-
share the sound.
This
through,
is not a technical meeting now, you guys. I know you guys want to have that right now.
We're
like,
keeping it real, Raghu.
We're here to
okay?
entertain.
Are we?
Yeah, we are. It's transcendental entertainment.
Don't judge people on externals.
That's
Don't
right.
do that.
Hearing Krishna Katha is a remedy for our suffering.
Krishna Kata.
Inquire submissively. Don't dump on the guru.
Don't dump on the
Don't
guru.
dump on the guru.
And
And
no, I gotta pull it up. And got leprosy? You can still be a guru.
Still be a guru.
oh, Krishna.
May limit you in many ways, but still be a guru.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Excited for the Wisdom Stage this weekend. Hey, join us for the Wisdom Stages in India starting January 11th. Really excited for that. Go to our website, wisdomofthesages.com. And it's our wisdom training. Kostuba's teaching the Gita this year. I do Puranic stories, kirtans, and we have Bhakti Recovery. It's just a whole great situation at the beautiful Govardhan Eco Village. If you're interested, wisdomofthesages.com. And if you're interested in teacher training, 200 hour, 300 hour, we do that. With a lot of our head teachers are here on the podcast. Lori Pag, Sita Sundari, and Bobby Marchand, myself, Kostuba. That's the whole month of the Govardhan Eco Village. That's on my website, raghunath.yoga. Starts December 31st this year. Raghunath.yoga. And also we have kirtan study this year too. You can learn the mridanga, or you can learn how to use harmonium and lead
December
kirtan.
31st. Whoa.
Starts early this year. Just the way the numbers are feeling out.
Starts on New Year's Eve.
Starts on New Year's Eve.